The rain came down in sheets that night, the kind that made even the neon lights look tired. Jake Turner, a single dad and mechanic, was locking up Turner's Auto Repairs, his small-town shop in Maple Ridge, when he saw her. A woman stood by the edge of the parking lot, soaked through, her designer heels in one hand, phone in the other, and a look that said she hadn't slept in days. Jake frowned. "Ma'am, you okay?" She hesitated, clutching her bag. Do you mind if I sleep in your car? Just for a few hours?" Jake froze, the keys dangling from his hand. The question made no sense. Sleep in his car? Up close, her face looked vaguely familiar, like someone he'd seen on a billboard or in one of those glossy business magazines people left in the diner. "Wait," he said slowly. "Aren't you Emma Sinclair? The CEO of Sinclair Tech?" She blinked, then nodded, shame flickering behind her eyes. "I was," she said softly. "Tonight, I just need somewhere dry." "I'll pay you, of course." Jake's mind spun. What was a billionaire doing in a greasy parking lot at midnight, asking to sleep in a mechanic's truck? He could have said no. He almost did. But then he remembered the nights he'd slept in that same truck after his wife died, when the bills piled up and the house felt too empty. He sighed. "You don't need to sleep in the car," he said, tossing her a towel from his workbench. "Come on inside. I'll make some coffee." Inside the small garage, the air smelled of oil and rain. Jake handed her a steaming mug while his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, peeked out from behind the office door in her pajamas. "Dad, who's that?" "Just someone who needs a little help, sweetheart." Emma gave a small, embarrassed smile. "Hi, Lily. I love your pajamas." "They've got unicorns," Lily said proudly. Emma's smile faltered, and she looked down at her coffee. "I used to love unicorns too," she whispered. As the night stretched on, the story came out in pieces. A merger gone wrong. A scandal she didn't cause but took the blame for. Board members turning on her. The press tearing her apart. Her fiancé walking away. "I thought success meant never showing weakness," she said quietly. "Turns out, it just meant I had no one left when I finally broke." Jake didn't say anything. He just listened. Sometimes that's all a person needs. Around 2 a.m., Lily fell asleep on the couch, and Jake covered her with a blanket. He glanced at Emma, still staring into her mug, lost somewhere far away. "Funny thing," Jake said, wiping grease from his hands. "A few years ago, I had nothing but this shop and a truck full of memories. I thought life was over. Then this little one came along and gave me a reason to keep going." He nodded toward Lily. "Sometimes, you just gotta rebuild from the ground up. Same way I do with engines. You clean out the old gunk, replace what's broken, and keep what still works." Emma looked up, tears brimming. "You make it sound so simple." Jake chuckled. "Simple ain't the same as easy." By morning, the storm had passed. Sunlight spilled through the garage windows, turning the puddles outside into mirrors. Emma stood by the door, wearing one of Jake's flannel shirts he'd lent her to dry off. She looked lighter somehow. "Thank you," she said softly. "You didn't have to let a stranger in." Jake shrugged. "You looked like you needed someone to remind you people still care. World's mean enough already." She smiled, a real smile this time. "Maybe I can return the favor someday." 2 months later, a black SUV pulled up to Turner's Auto Repairs. Jake was under a truck, wrench in hand, when he heard Lily squeal from the front. "Dad! It's Miss Emma." He crawled out, wiping his hands on a rag, and there she was, polished, confident, but different. Softer. She held out an envelope. "I bought the old warehouse down the street," she said. "I'm starting a community workshop, for single parents, veterans, anyone who needs trade training. I want you to run it. Jake blinked. Me? You taught me something that night, Emma said. That rebuilding isn't just for machines. He opened the envelope. Inside was a contract, and a salary that made his knees weak. Lily ran up and hugged Emma's leg. You're like a fairy godmother. Emma laughed. Maybe just a friend who needed a place to start over. That night, as Jake watched the sun dip behind the trees, he realized something. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness, an open door, a cup of coffee, can ripple farther than we ever imagine. Emma had come to him broken, and somehow, they'd both rebuilt something stronger. And for the first time in a long time, Jake felt like the world wasn't such a hard place after all. Moral: kindness doesn't need a title or a paycheck, it just needs a heart that remembers what it's like to be lost. Would you like me to adapt this into a narration-ready script, with pacing and pauses for spoken delivery, about 10 to 12 minutes long? That version would sound natural for YouTube or audiobook-style storytelling.